Jimbo, 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 KB, 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 or maybe Windies, Windies, Windies. Take your pick. This is anything cricket test match watch, and we've got a team, a squad of heroes in Bangladesh, and you can shout whatever you want to shout to acknowledge an excellent performance, victory by 17 runs in the second test match, and a 2-0 series win, as predicted by a man called Wayne Holder. Wayne is with us today, so too Ayana Holder and Basil Butcher Jr. We're going to go to Wayne because Wayne, you were bold to predict it, even although your reputation in terms of predictions is not that great.
Well, I took a beating once again, Philip, and I mean I'm sure that you're going to mock me and remind me that I had also forecast that the game would go into the fifth day. So I got that one wrong.
And nobody is upset with you about that. Certainly nobody in this part of the world.
But as again, me and this prediction thing just don't work. But no, I must say though, as a West Indies cricket fan, I am excited. I am happy, elated to say that word. I know I'm going to be told that it was only Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the worst team in the world, and we is the second worst. And we should not, and we have been here before. We have celebrated victories and whatever. But as far as I am concerned, this achievement today stands in the hierarchy of the legend of West Indies cricket as those great moments. And I am going to put it there with the 1975 capture of the World Cup, whitewashing England, beating Australia in Australia for the first time, seeing Lawrence Rowe make a triple century at Kensington Oval. This ranks among those moments among the legend of West Indies cricket, and one of these things that we will cherish forever and ever.
Ayana,
happy West Indies cricket fan.
Ayana, you've got the man of the match, Raheem Cornwall. You've got the successful captain, Craig Brathwaite. You've got the man of the series, Nkrumah Bonner. Take your pick. You can pick any hero you want, but really and truly, I think Craig Brathwaite called it right. A true team effort.
Definitely, Philip, a true team effort and just the energy of that team on the field was completely, it was shocking to me. I haven't seen, I might get some licks for this, but I haven't seen West Indies really played a real team game and feeding off of each other, plans coming into motion, and you're reaping the reward. I saw that in this entire series, and coming on to the end, there was a situation there. Craig came on, and the plan obviously was to attack the leg stump, and 2 4 boys went through, and I saw him, the silver, like, the plan, so follow, and that is the effort, the intensity that I saw in this entire series, and it was very refreshing just to show the generational gap. We talk about the 70s and the first win in Australia and stuff, and for me, there's the Champions Trophy in, I think, 2004, the 2 World Cups and the Youth Cups. I know this one, this ranks pretty high for me because, I mean, no one thought that a quote unquote second string team were going to go to Bangladesh and beat Bangladesh at home, as they're very dominant there. And if you remember, West Indies were actually the last team to beat Bangladesh in the 2-0 series back in 2012. So I somewhat feel that we're back to regular schedule programming.
Well, you got to be careful with that second string team thing, Basil Butcher Jr. Although I must say, with that batting collapse at the start of the fourth day, what turned out to be the final day, it did seem like a second or third string team during that period, didn't it?
I would admit that every time I looked at that scoreboard, it was sorry looking at it. The Ducks won 8, all the single figure scores, and then to be bowled out for 117. Some of the shots that were played, with the, you know, it harkened back to West Indies collapse in past times, in recent memory. However, still at 2-1 for them to win, I still gave us a fighting chance. And I think it's a learning lesson for these guys. And because sometimes you have to go through these kind of things to grow as a player, as a person. The character this team showed, even though they got bowled out for 117, to bounce back, even at the point where Bangladesh was seemingly cruising, you know, and then to still keep fighting and getting the wickets of the Bangladeshis and eventually pulling it off. It was a wonder to watch that. And I echo what Ayana was saying. Throughout this entire series, it was a total team effort. This is what we as West Indian fans have been crowing for in recent memory, to see the fight and playing as a team. And I would say this, you know, having left the Caribbean, that region, for so long, oftentimes I would forget how much, when West Indies does well, how it lifts the spirits of everybody. Everybody now around the Western Caribbean today is in a happy mood, you know, and I hope players will take note of that, how much they're winning and playing well does for the Caribbean spirit.
Well, I'll tell you, they just plain simplicity, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all, of an Nkrumah Bonner in terms of the way he expresses what makes him tick. We heard him talk, you know, about being paid to score runs, and at the presentation he talked about when he was asked about, you know, the commitment to batting and so on. He made the point that the fast bowlers toil all the time. They toil for long periods, so it's only fair that the batsmen then dig in and do their part. Simple philosophy, so to speak, to drive players like him. And that would be one of the highlights to me, the manner in which these youngsters have gone about their business. But there are two things really that I would want to mention as stand-ups as well. If I mention all the things that are standing out for me, the show would be too long. One would be Bonner as the player of the series, because it speaks to the importance of consistency. When it comes to cricket, everybody talks about centuries, and centuries are good. Centuries are important, and double centuries can win you matches. But nothing beats consistency. And I take my hat off to Bonner for that. And the other thing that I will mention, I'm waiting now for Raheem Cornwall to drop some pounds, lengthen his run, and open the bowling with the new ball, bowling fast. Because what else is there left for him to do?
Yes. I pointed out, a friend texted me this morning, because he has been a virulent critic, you know. He would always call me, a former Guyana player, I'm not going to call his name, about Cornwall. And I pointed out to him that if you look at Cornwall recently coming through, you could see the guy is obviously making an effort in losing weight, because it is part of his regime to want to remain on the West Indies team. He has to be doing these things. And I pointed out to him, if he was not hitting his fitness goals, I don't think he could have bent down that low and taken that catch, right? So we have to realize that there has to be some level of fitness in what he had to do there. And secondly, to be bowling those long spells. People think just because you're a spinner and you're bowling for, you're not putting that much onto your body, but those long spells that he bowled, you know, we have to credit Mr. Cornwall. Well done, Mr. Cornwall.
I think there are concerns about his ability maybe to concentrate for longer periods. But if he concentrates any longer, I don't know what would happen, because as you said, he bowled some pretty long spells. But this was really a test series with a difference. Wayne, I don't know if you can share maybe one or two of the stand-up moments for you in this series, at least one of them for sure in this match, and maybe another in the series.
Well, you know, it is difficult when you think of the team effort and the overall performance throughout this series. You know, it's only today when Jamel Warrington was brought back into the attack and got the breakthrough when there was a bit of a partnership going. You know, that I noted to myself, you know, the way that this team played every time that the team needed someone to come to the fore to provide whatever was needed at the time, someone came up with it. You know, it was working at that stage. Like Brathwaite, I didn't even know that he was a magician.
But that was the surprise package.
He worked magic. I mean, his coming on there and making that breakthrough was magical. You know, so yes, so and it's been difficult to single out individuals, although I must tell you that even before, while the West Indies were batting their second innings and Bonner and the Silver were involved in that partnership that they had, I actually named Nkrumah Bonner as my player of the series there and then. I mean, we weren't bowled out yet. Bangladesh hadn't even started
the shot that has missing may cause you to change your mind just as
well, no, it didn't. It really didn't. I mean, it was at that stage, that was desperation stage. But by then, I mean, you were battling with Cornwall and only Gabriel to come. So I excuse that.
And the Gabriel to come part would have been a great concern, I'm sure.
But yes, but long before that, well, like I said, while he and the Silver were involved in the partnership, I noted to myself, and I announced for myself, this man is the player of the series. Whatever happens here, well, not whatever happens. I knew what would happen. So
you predicted it a couple of days before, so yes.
Yeah, yes. It says the first or the second. But no, I don't let's dwell on that. But you asked about outstanding moments. Well, there's none for a moment and for an occasion. There's nothing like that victory in the first test, the double century by Kyle Mears, the partnership. But throughout the series, this combination of partnerships and that we had from the first right through to this match, right through to that little partnership between the Silver and Bonner. If you recognize, we won the match by 17 runs. So you will understand the importance of that partnership. I think they added about 30, but how significant were those 30 runs when you put it into context? So, like I said, the double century by Kyle Mears, the victory in the first test. Well, what happened today? The whole scenario of today. But I think the most impactful event of the day for me is Captain Craig Brathwaite. The way he believed that he had a role to play in inspiring and leading his men, and just making that first breakthrough, that initial breakthrough, when Tamim and Somya Saka were almost ready to run riot with the West Indies bowling attack and the cry coming on. And another magnanimous moment, though, Philip and the others, is when Cry came back for his second spell, got the wicket, got the breakthrough, bowled one over, and removed himself from the attack and brought back his main bowler, one of his. That
was a level of maturity.
Is exactly that was leadership. That was, you know, I applauded that there and then. So,
and to be quite honest, I was hoping he would do it. I was there thinking, okay, Craig, you've got to come up now. You've got to come out. And obviously, he was thinking along the same line.
Well, I was a little. Well, I'm going to admit I was a little doubtful when I saw him with the ball and I saw him for the first time when he got the initial breakthrough. I had my doubts about
that was kind of almost like desperation too. Nothing was happening, and I guess you could be excused for trying something. You wouldn't necessarily know that was what he would have tried. But at that point, you had to try something because it wasn't ready going according to plan.
I actually thought afterwards it was great perception because he would have was the off spinners, the finger spinners were the ones dominating the game by that stage. Mm-hmm. And he just figured, well, I am a finger spinner, I'm an off spinner. Let me get a piece of this too. So that was
And at the presentation too, he did say when asked about it that he, I think they asked him if he was surprised or something. He said, well, he knew his own ability, so it was no surprise for him. You know, but Ayana, you be very quiet. I am sure that inside you are not as quiet as that.
I just waited for my chance, to be honest. My hero.
Yeah, we can go overboard sometimes.
Speechan. Kyle's innings in the first test was remarkable, but Raheem Cornwall is my hero, because I don't think that the West Indian fans, as well as the wider cricketing world, really has seen the skill and talent that this guy possesses. And it pleases me that when he gets into conditions that favor him, that he will just eat, you know. And he is my hero. The only thing that I would really love to see is that Raheem Cornwall can be given that I don't know, that I guess loyalty, maybe, to instill that confidence in him that he will become a permanent fixture in a West Indies 11, because I think that he is that good. I don't think that Cornwall needs spin conditions to take wickets, but I don't think that he gets enough playing time to be consistent. He always starts and stops. So if there's something that I hope we can take away, is instilling that confidence into this young man to be that spinner that we yearn for.
Well said. I think he's really shown. I think really he's one who should inspire many people, because he has achieved up to this point in time, despite those who have ridiculed him, and that obviously doesn't bother him in the least. If it does, there's no visible evidence of it, and that's something to be admired. So when you say that he's your hero, I understand clearly what you mean. You've chosen a good hero. Alvin.
I would want to go back and say a hearty thank you to the group of absentees who refused the offer to represent the West Indies on this tour to Bangladesh. They have done West Indies cricket a great favor without any of us, something that none of us would know that this would have been the turnout. Because what it has done, it has answered a question that has been asked in West Indies cricket for the last half a dozen years. That question was, who else? Or as they say, for who? Whenever it was suggested that one of the incumbents, one of the entitled incumbents could be relieved of their place in the team, the question was always asked, for who? Now we found out who is who. And I would even like to look forward and suggest that I dare Roger Harper and his crowd of selectors to make any wholesale changes to this group. And I would expect that there are areas in the team that we've shown some weaknesses in, the order batting, for instance, and that needs to be rectified. And that is all. So what I'm saying is that rather than make any wholesale changes as might have been anticipated if this team had performed the way that everybody expected, what we're going to do now is strengthen this team, reinforce this team with a few, and that's the operative word, a few of those who refuse to go to Bangladesh on this tour.
What's the way forward, Basil Butcher?
I agree totally with Wayne's sentiments. I remember listening to a radio program that we all know when the West Indies board president was on with Jimmy Adams, following the 3-0 drubbing in the one-day series, and he was being chastised for sending a team under man team, so-called, to Bangladesh, that it would further taint the West Indies brand. Well, today, that brand is flying sky high. And like Wayne, in my view, there's probably two changes or so I would, in terms of strengthening this team, I would do. this team that went to Bangladesh would be the nucleus and more of the next team when we play our next test match, as far as I'm concerned, right? Because the culture, the fight, and all those ingredients that we saw in this team is what we have been burning for as West Indian fans, to see our teams when they walk out onto the field to play. And I feel we're starting to build something here. I know it's just Bangladesh, but the mere fact we are building something, because you have to start somewhere, as the famous Saint Confucius say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I think we are starting to build something here that we can recognize in not too long future, some West Indies team that can be competitive with the best teams in the world.
So Ayana, are you moving forward as well without too many changes?
Yeah, without too many, there will be a few. I'm still a tad bit concerned about the 4 bowlers and the 5th bowler. I think that's an area that we need to analyze and assess how we're going to tackle that going forward. The top 3 have some question marks around it, so there's still work to be done. All in all, I think there are improvements to be made. I hope that the nucleus of this team remains together. One of the things that will help, I know that we're still in the COVID pandemic, but one of the things that this shows you is that we need to play more cricket. We need to play more 18 cricket so that you can get that competitive culture going. Too many times the test team is playing and the other players are just home, probably, if they're lucky enough to have cricket playing in their territory, to get to play cricket. But you're not seeing guys on that first class level competing to show that they can make the step up to international level. So that's why we have to wait so long to see who else. So a lot of encouraging signs, but there's always areas to improve, and I hope that we can assess, probably get a refresher, relax a little bit, and get the plans for the Sri Lanka series going.
So I suppose all that is left now is for each of you guys to send a word to Craig Bradford and his men in Bangladesh. If you could say something to them at this point in time, what would you want to say to them?
Well, there are heroes as far as I'm concerned. Mind you, let's be realistic and understand all of the criticism that West Indies cricket has coming for before today doesn't go out the window right away at all. We do have problems. We do have weaknesses in our system. Don't get me wrong, and in our methods. So there's still areas that need to be improved. But this happening, this event today must be noted, and look for the positives out of it. And the positive out of this is that, a favorite word of yours, Philip, we have no shortage of talent. We need now to harness and bring it to make it a culture, make excellence a culture, or part of the culture. Let excellence be the culture, and as we go forward, to tell the thing, you are heroes. You have made a nation. You have made a nation proud, and you have made the average citizen in the Caribbean believe in cricket again. Power to test cricket. That's what it is for me. Power to test cricket.
What's your message to the team, Basil Butcher Jr.?
I will remember something my late father told me. In 1963, when the West Indies team arrived in England, Sir Frank Worrell, the then captain, said to the entire team, when we walk out on the field, we don't only play for ourselves. We don't only play for those back in the Caribbean. We also play for all those black people in the UK, because the difference between us winning and losing is they losing their job or keeping their job. And these gentlemen today, wholeheartedly congratulations. They have lifted the spirits of the Caribbean nation at home and abroad, despite all the warts that we have right now, and we have to iron out in our cricket structure and system. But today, they have lifted our spirits to heights that it is something reminiscent for me as I go back and think of all the varying games West Indies have won and nail biter. But these guys were what you would call the put together team, and the incredible job that they did, along with their coaching staff and all involved in bringing forth this, because this is not something that is just happened. The work that they had to put in and so on, as players in their practices, their team meetings with the coaches and so on, and go out and execute as best as they could, only makes us as West Indians proud and lifting our spirits. And I say a hearty thank you, because today I am very happy.
Ayana?
Yeah, to echo that, I don't think that people understand the importance of West Indies cricket on a sociological scale in the region. And it's always pleasing for the diaspora to celebrate West Indies victories. After the first test, I saw a clip with Phil Simmons telling the guys, so you see how good it feels to win, you know? But you can't just enjoy this moment. We want to feel this way many more times again. So you know what you have to put in to get these feelings. And I think that is the key message going forward. We can't, every time we go on that field, we have to start over. You're aiming to feel that win feeling again, but there's steps involved in getting there. And I think that we need to reinforce the need for discipline and consistency, and putting all of those things together, I think that we will get many more occasions like this.
Quickly, Philip, I want to add 2 words. Stay humble.
Okay, I thought for a moment there your 2 words were going to be Rakim Congo. Well, you'll be watching Anything Cricket Test Match Watch. A victory to the West Indies over Bangladesh in the second test by 17 runs. And yes, a victory in the series, 2-0. That's some achievement for a team that was not necessarily the first choice team. Although if you listen to Greg Brathwaite, as far as he's concerned, that's not a second string team. These are guys who went to Bangladesh on a mission. And now they can truly say, mission accomplished. Thanks to Wayne Holder, Ayana Holder, and Basil Butcher Jr. This is Philip Hackett on behalf of them, thanking you for joining us for Anything Cricket Test Match Watch.